morning. Good morning. How are we doing today? Thank you for joining me for another round of the turnaround. As you can see the title, you can see it's a question that I'm sure that we all have asked at some point in our time, in our lifetime. Why me? Um, I used to ask that question a lot. Why me? Why did you choose me? Why did you set me apart? Why did you save me? Why did you call me? Why did you, all of these why me's, why me's, why me's. And um, for a long time, I only got just a couple words. I have a plan for you. I have a plan for you. I have a plan for you. And that plan, really wasn't, I wasn't walking in that plan. And as things start turning around and changing, I really start seeing and understanding God's plan, what He was really wanting. Now, I chose to do a lot of different things. I had the choice to choose to do a lot of different things. And a lot of it didn't line up with the path that God had chosen for me. And once I was able to get back on the right track with some help, with a lot of help, with, God and His grace and His mercy, and my lovely wife of helping me and praying for me and encouraging me to actually get back on the right path. You don't really know until you get off how far you're off and how far you're away from what God's original plan was. But let me tell you something. When you actually get back on that path and you start actually walking it and seeing, understanding what God is truly saying to you, because in that place when I'm always asking, why me, why do I have to be the one that do this? I'm sure my wife was really asking that question. Why do I have to stay here? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to pray for him? Why do I have to take this? Why do I have? He said, but the whole thing is, I got a plan. He has a plan. And if you want His perfect will, if you're wanting to be in His will, then that's what, these are the things that you just have to do. Things that you just have to dedicate your life to. And so that place for me as coming back home is, now I'm still asking that same question. Why me, God? God has showed me so many different things, and I keep saying, why me, God? Why did you choose me for this? Why did I have to go through all of this? And some stuff, like you said, Gerald, some of this stuff you chose to do. You could have chose my path and gotten to this destination a whole lot quicker, but you chose to do other things, and I had to keep you. I had to protect you in it, because my plan my plan will be fulfilled. And so I'm like, wow. And that's where that place was when He gave me a choice to choose, and have to choose between life or death. And I chose life because I understood that in His path there was going to be some light. And so when I turned around, the little piece of light that I saw was like the little bit of life that I had. And so I looked at it in a prophetic way. I'm like, oh my God, that's just a little bit of light. So that means I just got a little bit of life. And so as I continued to walk back to this thing, the light got a little bit bigger, and life was coming. Life was literally coming back into me, because I was able to be stronger. I was able to be, get some strength to be able to walk through all of the things that I had to literally, I literally chose to grab. And so I'm steady walking back, and I'm like, God, why me? Why me? Why me? Why did you come back to get me? Why did you choose to leave the 99 and come back for this one? He said, Gerald, I got a plan for you. I had a plan for you. I had plans for you in your mother's womb. I had something for you, for your family, for your generation. And then some altered it. Some chose to do something else, but I chose them too. And so, but they chose to do something else. Some chose to do it right, but some chose to not to finish it. They couldn't finish it, but I'm calling you to be a finisher. And so I'm like, okay, God, I'm home now. Now what? Why me? What is it that I'm to do? And so he took me to Jeremiah 29:11. He says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." That was that place. He said, "Gerald, I want you to be hope." You understand what I'm saying? The hope. And so I was like, what do you mean by that? I don't get that. And where I'm sitting now, it's a place where, Gerald, you give us hope. You give people hope that things can be restored, that their spouses can come out, things can change. You can you show them a future that it's not always going to look like this. I'm sitting there, I'm sitting there this morning, and I'm like, wow. I remember when you said this to me, God, when I came back home. I remember when you said, I'm going to give you the patience. I'm going to give you the strength. I'm going to give you what you need, because I'm going to need you to keep your deliverance. Now there's power in agreement. I brought you home. Now you're in the house with the one that I've assigned to you, the one that I've placed something inside of her to help you to reach your destiny. Son, the prayers that she has prayed, the sacrifices that she has made, I put them in your plan. You didn't even know it. That's why when the first time you saw her, you said that you was going to marry her. That was something, God. That was something that I put inside of you so you will know that I have you. Because just like she won't leave, that just like she was protecting you, just like she was praying for you, just like she was declaring for you, I'm talking about before I even knew this, God had a plan. I left one school and went to another school, and I walked out of a guidance office and saw the one that God has assigned to me, that God had planned for me. I ain't know anything about any of that, but God had a plan way back then. That's why he says, I formed you in your mother's womb. I had a plan for you in your mother's womb. Your mother knew your destiny. My mama used to talk about this stuff, and I didn't understand none of this stuff that she was talking about. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I did not get it until God just started showing me, like when I came home and when I came out, he said, Jerry, I got a plan for you. You can stop saying, why me? Because I got a plan, and I need you to line up with this plan. And here's the plan that I have for you. This is what I want you to do. And it was like, okay, I need you to move. I'm going to take you away from people, places, and things. Now, I was fine in Florida. I thought I was. But God had another plan. That was part of his plan. And so I'm testing God. I'm like, God, all right, if I can sell my house by the time we get back from whatever, we're getting ready to go to a conference, I sell my house, then I'm good. How about God's plan? I literally had a guy that was just starting to sell houses. Like just starting, a neighbor, just starting. Gonna be his first house. And by the time we came home from a Thursday to a Sunday, our house had been sold. The person bought our house, and we were out of our house by the end of the year. This is like in December. And so I don't know about y'all. I don't know how fast houses are supposed to be sold, but it's sold very quickly. And so I'm sitting here like, this is part of your plan. This is part of your plan. Let me tell you something. When you get into God's plan, it's a place where you got to get some suffering. There's going to be some suffering that's going to come, because he's talking about your patience. He's seeing if you can endure these tough times. And so we moved, and we literally moved to Georgia with no place. No place to live. We didn't even know where we was going to live. We just packed our car and drove and came to Georgia, and we had a little bit of money. And so we stayed in a hotel, for a little bit. Then I stayed with a relative. I didn't even know I had a relative that lived in the town. Matter of fact, I got a cousin and an aunt that lives in. God has a plan. Let me tell you something. I didn't even know. I didn't even know this place. But we're talking about God's plan. And I'm sitting in a mess, and I'm saying, why me? And God telling me, I got a plan. I got a plan. So we get here, and I'm telling you, in for a whole month, maybe a month and a week, we stayed in a hotel. And me and my wife, it was some stressful moments. It was some stressful times when it's like, okay, did we miss something? Is this God? Then we started walking around a park, And then we gave God, we was like, God, we just need a yes. We start playing the song. We'll listen to the song and it said, yes, God. Yes, God. God. We said, yes, God. Whatever your plan is, God. Yes, God. We'll do whatever you ask us. Things open up. We got a house. Got into the house. Once again, things just, you think things good, but God just steady testing you, steady testing you. It was a place where he's like, I'm going to take you to zero. Now, you know how hard that is to go to zero. I'm being transparent. I'm talking about zero. Have nothing. We're sitting there and we were like, okay, we got to pay rent. We got to pay all of these bills. I ain't have a job. She ain't have a job. And we couldn't get, this and that. And then our God starts showing stuff, starts doing stuff. She had my wife was doing, consulting. And all of a sudden they were calling her to come back home to do consulting in a place that she put in 20 something years, almost 30 something years in the educational field. And now she gets to go back to it to reap the labor, to reap the fruits of her labor. I'm like, okay, God, that's part of your plan. That was generating something. And then I ended up getting a couple of jobs, but God was showing me in these jobs, I had to learn discipline. I had to learn how to operate in responsibility because I was a person that didn't take care of my family when I was in Florida. And so now I got to do it. I got to do something that shows that I'm willing to be able to work, to be able to till, to be able to provide for my family, and to be a king of my family. So I have to be able to govern. I have to be able to take care of things. But I didn't understand that. But this is all a part of God's plan. And then I was like right before, Thanksgiving. I'm not Thanksgiving, but I think it was Valentine's Day. And right before Valentine's Day, God said, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to start doing marriage counseling and marriage retreat meetings or now they're boot camps. But this was the birthing of it on this day. And then we went to Phoenix City, Alabama, and we did our first I was calling it a workshop, a marriage workshop. We went and started doing this workshop. And let me tell you something. We didn't move here thinking that this was going to be a marriage ministry. That wasn't our plan. I wanted to be a coach. She wanted to be an administrator, and that's what we was going to come and do. But God shut that thing down. It wasn't his plan. But when we gave God that yes means we going to go with his plan. Let me tell you, in God's plan, man, there's some suffering. There was some suffering. There was some sacrifices that had to be made, because if we didn't make those sacrifices, then we wasn't going to literally reap what God wanted us to reap, because he said it was to give hope and a future. Hope and a future. And so this is a place where it's to give you hope, to give you hope. And I was like, okay, God, what does that mean? I didn't understand what that meant. I'm just being real. I didn't understand what that meant for us, because for that time period that we were here, it was hard, because things were happening with our rental, with our landlord. And when I tell you, God always has a plan. It was times where I'm being transparent that things were happening and situations were happening. And I'm looking at God like, how is this going to happen? How he raised our rent ungodly. And it's like, okay, God, we only making enough to pay this. How are we going to take care of this? And can I tell you, not one time he put it at a crazy number. And then we were sitting there looking at each other like, how in the world we going to pay this? How is this going to happen? And every time God makes it, boom, right on time. Bills right on time. I mean, like nothing ever went where it couldn't be taken care of. And so God was putting us to a place where we had to truly lean, rely, and trust in him. That was God's original plan, that we lean, rely, and trust in him. And then I was sitting there and God just really took me to, Psalms 3 and 5 and 6, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Can I tell you? That's that place. When I tell you that's that place, that's the place. And when I say, why me? I can't say why me anymore, because now I understand why he chose me. I understand why he chose me. It's for hope. It's for a future. And I didn't know that it was going to be for everybody else. So when he told me to go online, to go on Facebook and tell my story and tell everything and put it out there, I didn't know. I did not know that it was going to bring hope and a future to other people. I didn't know. I didn't know that was God's plan. I didn't know that was God's plan when I was sitting in a dope house. I didn't know that was God's plan when I was sitting sitting on a sidewalk homeless. Dude. But what the devil meant for bad, God turned it out to be good. It became part of my testimony. It became a part of my journey. It became a part of the thing that made me who I am today. Some stuff I alter God's plan, but then God just uses it. He uses it. He uses it. And I thank God for not leaving me, not turning his back on me. I thank God for a praying wife that never wanted to give up. Never wanted to give up, because it was God's plan. It was God's will for her to do what she had to do, for the sacrifices she had to make. It was for God's will. That's what God's plan was. She could have chose her own plan. Do I have to stay? No, you don't. But if you want my plan and you want my will, then this is what you will do. You can leave. You can leave, Yvette. You don't have to stay with him. I'll give you the permission. But if you want my perfect will, if you want my plan, then this is my plan. Now, you can choose your plan, and your plan might get you to a certain point. But if you want my perfect will and you want my plan, then this is the way it goes. So I'm like, okay, God. One thing is, I can't trust myself. I don't trust my own intellect. I can't. And so I fight. I used to fight. Well, I kind of fight the place of asking for my wife for help when I feel like I should be able to do things. But this is not God's plan. God has already revealed to me that I can't do anything. I'm literally not supposed to do anything without my wife, because I can do it, but it won't be in God's plan. It won't be in God's perfect will, because it's a place where he's trying to truly turn us into, one. We think as one, we function as one, we operate as one. Everything we do is as one. And so I can't walk around talking about why me? Why me, God? Why you want me to stand? Why me, God? Why you want me to do this? Why you want me to pray? Why you want me to love? Why you want me to do this? God has a plan. Let me tell you something. Your plan don't really look like God's plan, because God's plan's got some sacrifices that you have to make. It's some things that you have to change your body and change your mind and change your thinking, change your words and change your heart. These are the things that makes God's plan, because God makes you go through some stuff to see if you can stand the time, if you can stand the test. Jesus did what he learned his obedience by the thing he suffered. That means he had to suffer some things. That for you to get your obedience to be able to stand and do what you're supposed to do, to be into God's will, Gerald, you're gonna have to suffer some things. So I had to suffer. And you and through the suffering, God is still there with you. He's still there with you. He's giving you the strength. He's giving you the wisdom. He's giving you the understanding, because that's all he was saying. Gerald, I said I'll never leave you nor forsake. You know how much he said that to me? I mean, I'm sitting here crying, boo-hooing, because I can't pay this. I don't understand how to do this. I don't understand how to do this. And now let me tell you something. Let me tell you when God's will is. And so here it is. Here's a real shift. A year ago, 2 years, I got in, we were here, and I got a job doing something in a store, doing something that it was prophesied to me that you're gonna do something that you probably not even qualified to do, but you're gonna be doing it. And I ended up doing it, like literally doing the job, and on comfortable with the job paying these things, paying for bills, taking care of, paying our rent. We good, it's tight. Put it that way. It's tight. God's plan is tight. It's a straight and narrow road. So it wasn't a wide road what we were walking on. It was a narrow road, and it was like, this is this, this is this, this is this. And my wife is, she was like, I just need to be able to take care of our bills. I just need to take care of our bills. I just did it. And it was a thing that God was working with her on. So she had her own thing. She was dealing with her deliverance, and I had my own thing that I was working on deliverance. And then in together we was working on staying on the straight and narrow, staying on the what we said that we wanted a yes, and staying on saying, okay, God, not my will, but thy will be done. And so as we sitting there saying, walking this thing out, God tells me it's time to leave this job. I was like, no, not yet, because God, you don't understand that why would you ask me to do that when I wasn't a good provider? I used to quit jobs and not tell Yvette. And so now you're going to tell me that it's time for me to come off this job, and you want me to go and tell her? Oh, no, that ain't going to happen. Why would you ask me to do that? I'm telling God I'm not doing that. I battle that. I'm like, I'm not doing that, God. You're going to have to tell somebody else to tell her that this is what's going to happen, because I'm going to need some witnesses. I'm going to need confirmation. I'm going to need the act of God. I'm going to need you to come down and speak to her audibly. Matter of fact, you might need to come down and show your face to her before you want me to tell her that I'm getting ready to leave a job that provides for us. You said that job don't provide for you. You keep playing around. And let me tell you something. I stayed on that job, and then I got hurt. I hurt my back. Then I had to stay home. And I'm sitting there like, every day I'm sitting there and I'm in pain. He said, I told you to leave the job. Didn't I tell you to leave the job? So if you'd actually done it when I told you to do it, that this wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened. I was trying to get you off the job before it actually happened. But since now that it happened, so now what are you going to do? So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm going through therapy. I go back to work, and I go back to work, and I work a little bit longer. And he says, I already told you, I want you off this job. And so happened that somebody called my wife and prophesied that Gerald needs to leave the job and such and such and such and such. And one day she asked me, what is God saying? And I say, well, God is telling me I need to leave this job. And she didn't like respond to, normal, like oh my God, a panic attack. What? Why would you plan on leaving the job or any of this stuff? She was like, nope. She said, okay. Did he give you a time? And he literally gave me a time frame. This time, you're going to leave this job on before this month, the next month get here. And you got to go. So you need to go and tell those people. So I went and told those, we got it. And I told those people. And do you know that when I left the job, it made time for ministry? It made time. Now I get to stay home and work with my wife. I get to the same. Let's tell you, the same thing the enemy tried to destroy our relationship, our friendship, us being together, because I ain't want to be around her. I ain't want to talk to her, let alone be around her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That wasn't going to work. I spent my time trying to run. So this corona thing of us staying home, man, this is what we've been doing this. God had already set this plan up a long time ago, before we both was even born. This plan was already set. I need for y'all to function as one. I need for y'all to be able to be around each other and not want to hurt each other. I need you to be around each other and love each other. And when I tell you, being around her in this home, I'll get up and I'll go in there and she'll be counseling. So if you're in a counseling, you see my wife look up, she's probably looking at me because I'm looking at her and just giving her a kiss or wanting to hug her or wanting to do something, because this was the place where I used to say, why me, God? But he chose me for this place. He chose me for this moment. And all of those bad choices that I made, God was still beside me. He was waiting on me to actually turn around and stop saying, why me? Because I have already chosen you. Then he gave me, it was, Psalms, I started reading Psalms 91:11. It says, for he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all of your ways. So all of this stuff that we've been doing, all of the stuff that, we do, God says, I need you guys to do a conference. I was like, I got to go in there and tell her that we got to do a conference. And I'm looking at my bank account and my bank account says $10 or $20. No, God, once again, I'm like, no, God, that ain't going to work. I went in there and told her, and she's like, okay then. Put it into motion. We did our first conference. Now, a lot of stuff that we didn't know that was going to transpire, that was going to happen, because we said, God, if this is what you want us to do, then this is what we'll do. We know that you will provide for this. We know that you will do what you said you was going to do for this, because you chose us to do this, and so we're going to do it. I mean, we put it on. When I tell you, God provided every dollar. He provided every situation. He not only did it, but he showed out why he was doing it. He was like, listen here. When we started that thing, we didn't even know how we was going to pay for stuff. We didn't even know how we was going to pay for it. God just said, do it. And when I tell you everything got paid, we did more than we did exceedingly. We did exceeding. He went exceedingly abundantly. I'm like, wow, God. All he was doing is increasing our faith. And so now where we are, because we said yes, because we understand now God's plan, because we said we can stop saying, why me? We know why me. We know why he called us. We know why he chose us. We know this understanding. It's like when you saying why me, it's a problem when you not walking in his plan. Make sure that you always walking in his plan, because in his plan, it works with your heart. Because in Psalms 3:5-6, it says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not into your own understanding. In all of your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. We had to walk straight, and we had to really check our heart. Every time that God asked us to do something, check our heart. Make sure our heart was in the right place. Make sure that we was actually submitted to his will and his way. And that thing sat with me for a very long time. And during this time, yes, things start getting tighter. Things start getting tighter. But God says, for you, before you have a need of patience to endure, to bear up under difficult circumstances without compromising, so that when you have carried out the will of God, you may receive and enjoy the full what is promised. To enjoy fully what is promised. But it says, endure under difficult circumstances without compromising. I'm telling you, there's times where it was like we wanted to compromise, but we understood what God was trying to say. Stay with me. Stay with me. Lean, rely, and trust in me. You remember you like saying that. So lean, rely, and trust in me, because I don't need you to compromise. I don't need you to compromise. And I say, in situations where you gotta, your family can make you compromise. When situations that are dealing with family or your children can make you compromise. But when you seek God's instructions for it, and it gets you stronger, and it gives you some wisdom and understanding. And no, I can't compromise in this, because if I compromise in this, then I compromise in something else. And so we got to stay focused on what God's plan is. And if you don't know what God's plan is, have to ask, because now, God, what's your plan? What's the plan? Reveal the plans to me. Show me what I need to do in this area. Show me what I need to do for the ministry in this area. Show me how to pray for this stuff. Show me how to cover my wife. Because here's another plan. It's like now that you're in your rightful place as a priest, prophet, and king, now your responsibilities and your understanding has to be different. The plan now, it goes to another motion. It goes into another phase. And as you're walking out this phase, I need you to understand who you are, what you are, and where you coming from. You are no longer that person that was sitting on the side of the road. You're no longer that person that was acting like you were stubborn and rebellion. Now you are submitted to my will and my way. You're submitted to my understanding. You're submitted to my voice. And that you can't compromise when you hear what God is saying, because it's something that your flesh doesn't want to do. So when you saying, why do I have to do this? But God has already he's already gave you some instructions. That's part of his plan, his instructions. Will we follow the instructions? If God says, I need you to pray, I mean, when something went wrong real fast, I mean, like right after it, it's like you come out of an argument and God says, I want you to walk up to him and say, I'm sorry. Or I want you to walk up to her and say, I'm sorry. I can remember those times. I'm like, why you want me to go over there and tell her I'm sorry? Why do I have to be the one to go do that? She came to me with all this old crazy stuff. Why do I? But now, you know what? She would come back and she would say, I'm sorry. Whatever she did. But she would do stuff and then she'll come back. She's like, you know what? I was sorry. I shouldn't have said it that way. I shouldn't have came at you that way. I'm sorry. And then it was messed with me because God was already telling me to go back to her and say, I'm sorry. But she was obedient. She didn't compromise, the way she felt, because she was feeling mad. She was hurt. She was feeling a certain type of way. But she listened to God. She didn't compromise. She was like, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to apologize. And so I don't know if she did it all the time, but the times that she did do it, it affected me because he had asked me to go and apologize to her, and she would beat me to it. And so now I try to beat her to it. If I mess up, I try to beat her to it. I'm sorry. And she was like, what are you sorry for? I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for how I said that. I'm sorry for my facial expressions. I'm sorry for, because listen, God chose me. He chose me for a reason. And I can't allow myself to fall into the same traps and the same snares that I used to. I just can't allow that. And so I have to be truly, truly mindful, because when I'm asking God, why me? All he takes me back to is his word. He makes me find the scriptures that talks about his plan, that talks about everything that he says to me. Son, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I formed you in your mother's womb. I had plans for you. I had plans for you before your mama even knew who you were. And I'm finally getting into God's plan. It took me a very long time to literally submit to God's plan and not my plan, because I was leaning on my own understanding. So if you're leaning on your own understanding, I mean, you're leaning on your own flesh, you're leaning on your own emotions, you're leaning on your own feelings, then I'm telling you, it will be hard to submit and do what God says do, because it says down here in Hebrews 10:36, it says, your patience enduring and bearing up under difficult circumstances without compromising. Yes, your situation is going to look crazy. Yes, the situation is going to look bad. Yes, it's going to look bad, but will you compromise? Will you compromise? And I was like, man, I don't know how many times I compromised. I don't know how many times I was just being rebellious. I wasn't going to go. I'm talking about when I came back home, when I'm delivered, I'm walking in strength now. I'm talking about transitioning from Florida to here. I'm talking about still having to be mindful of God's plan and start seeing, oh man, you still have a little bit of stubbornness in you. So are you truly submitted to my will? Are you truly submitted to my way? Because if you're truly submitted to my will and my way, then these responses won't happen, Gerald. They won't happen. Yes, I'm putting you through difficult times. I'm seeing if you're going to compromise. I'm seeing if you're going to actually pass the test. I'm seeing if you're going to actually pass your quiz. And you're not making it, son. So I'm going to have you to do it again. And I'm going to have you to do it again until you pass, because you're going to go through this test and you're not going to get promoted until you actually pass the test. And so I had to realize that every time he told me to go and apologize, I had to go and apologize. I wasn't going to compromise. I wasn't going to I wasn't going to allow my feelings and my emotions to stop me, because I was feeling offended. Offense used to have me sitting there in a wall. Offense used to have me sitting in a cave. Offense used to have me sitting in jail cell, because I wasn't going to come out. I wasn't going to go and be the first one to do it. I wasn't going to do it. But that wasn't God-like. That wasn't godly. That wasn't righteous. That wasn't holy. And I'm telling you, I want to be godly. I'm compromising. And so if I compromise in just a going and do what God says do, what about when the things get really, really difficult? Will I compromise? So I had to check myself. For where I'm going, I can't compromise. Where God is taking us, I can't compromise. If I'm the head, I can't allow a compromising spirit to get into my family, to get into my ministry, to get into our business, to get into anything. I can't do it. And the slightest thing, and the enemy tries to use the slightest things to make you compromise. Do I get it right all the time? Absolutely not. But you know what? When I actually see it, and I've been praying that I see things before they even happen. And so I won't even, I'm already prepared for it. So I'm asking God for that. So he said, you ask, if you want, you ask for wisdom. So that's wisdom to me. God, show me something. Show me the snares and the traps that are set up for me right now, because I don't want to fall into them. And my wife, man, let me tell you something. I'm asking for it, but God has already put it in my wife. Man, y'all better catch that thing, man. That's the plan. Gerald, you can't walk this trip. You can't take these trips. You can't do this journey without her. I put something inside of her to help you to reach the destiny that you're supposed to reach. That's why she's a helpmeet suitable. She ain't just my wife. She's a helpmeet suitable. That means everything that I need that God has given me, he's placed it inside of her to help me naturally, spiritually, to get where I need to go. It's a difference between being just a wife and being a helpmeet suitable. So when you saying, why me? Sometimes that why me might be asking out of the place of a wife. But a why me out of the place of a helpmeet understands that there's a sacrifice that has to be made regardless of what they see or what you do. As a PPK and you saying, why me? That's a priest, prophet, and king. And you're saying, why me? Why not you? He's called for you. He's called for you to pray. He's called for you to prophesy over your family. He's called for you to govern. He's called for you to do these things. But the enemy is trying to take your identity. The enemy is trying to remove you away from family. If you look at society today, it's a lot of men that are missing. They're missing from their family. And so the wife or the mother is raising young men and not having a young father to pour into them. And it was a plan the enemy tries to do for a very long time. I look at my kids that I had before my wife. I look at them and I'm like, dude, I wasn't in your life like that. Now I understand that through the turnaround, God's plan is to restore it. And so, Gerald, you can't compromise on their feelings. You have to reach out. You have to do what you have to do. And I'm still doing that. I still have a child that I'm still working on, and God is still moving, and God is still transitioning. I understand it. I saw it happening. And so as I see it happening, he just gives me the faith that what he said he would do, he would do. What he showed me that what I was going to have, I see it coming. So I'm not naive, and I understand that there's a place where I have to endure some difficult situations. I have to endure the way my children might feel about me because I had abandoned them, because I've hurt them, because I've let them down. I have to endure that because I understand what I've done. And so I have to, what I did when I came back, to endure and endure it with patience, because God has a plan in all of it that I won't compromise. I won't compromise. I won't compromise. I won't do it. I won't do it. I'll try my best. I try my best not to compromise. I try my best. I mean, and if I miss it, I gotta be quick to come back and get it right. If you miss it, you gotta be quick to come back and get it right. You have to get it right. And so if there's times that I missed it, I'm saying, God, right now, forgive me. Show me where I missed it, and I go back and correct it. I go back and correct it, because I don't want to not be in His path. I've been off His path for a long time, and now being on His path, and now being in His will, and now doing it. I don't want anything else. I don't want anything else. And so, if you're in that place and you're saying, "Why me?" God has a plan. He has a plan. And let me tell you something. Now I'm just sitting here and I hear God saying, from the original, I gave my son, my only begotten son, to pay the price for your sins, to pay the price for you. He gave Himself up for you. Are you willing to give yourself up for what the plan that God has for you? That's why He says, don't lean into your own understanding. That means you got to come out of all of you. Because He says it. He says, lean not into your own understanding, and in all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. In all of your ways. The other day, we talked about what all mean. All means all. The definition of all, I mean complete, all, everything. It is what it is. So, in all of your ways. So while you sitting there and you're saying, why me? Have we paid attention? This is what He was saying to me. Gerald, think about your ways. Is everything submitted to me? Your thinking submitted to me? Your words submitted to me? Your heart submitted to me? Your walk submitted to me? Is everything submitted to me? And I had to look at, and it was a hard pill to swallow, because I had to say no. Because some of my thoughts didn't line up. Some of the ways that I was feeling in my heart didn't line up. So I had to check this. I had to get it right. I had to get it right. And so here's that. When you're saying, why me? God has a plan. And so understand God's plan. Get into God's plan. Get into God's plan. Give Him a yes. Submit in all of your ways. Submit in all of your ways. And He said He will make your path straight. He will make your path straight. Not you. Not you. Don't lean into your own understanding. Nope. Because He said in Jeremiah 29:11, He says, for I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. I thank God for my hope. I have hope in Him. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I thank God for my hope, the hope that I have in Him and all that He does. And He says that I have a future. I thank God for my future. Have you prayed for your future? Have you thanked God for your future? Because I spend that time. I say, thank you, God, for my destiny and purpose. Thank you, God, for my future. I thank you for the hope that you put inside of me, that I have hope again, that I can hope that what I see and what you have shown me goes further than what I've ever seen in my life. In my life. And I thank you that you said you will never leave me nor forsake me. Thank you so much. Thank you. I thank you. I really thank you. So guess what? When we're sitting there and we're saying, why me? Because I'm telling you, sometimes I still say, God, why me? Because now I'm like, oh my God, why you want me to do this? Why do you want me to get on here and tell my business? Why do you want me to get on here and tell my deepest, darkest moments? Why do you want me to do this? But he says, I got a plan. I got a plan. And so when I hear, I hear the people, I hear what you're saying, I hear the responses. He says, and every time I've said that, he says, you read that? That's why. This is why. You don't even understand what you're doing. You're just getting your therapeutic moment, and you're having a deliverance moment as you're doing this, and I'm setting you free. But on the other end, Gerald, I'm helping someone else. So it's never just about you. It's like he told the disciples, go out, go, 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 go. And they were going and proclaiming the gospel. Going and proclaiming the gospel. And some of them had some rough and tough circumstances that happened, but they endured them. Some of them was martyr, but they were willing to do what they had to do. They were willing to do what they had to do. God sent his son to walk the earth. He sent his son for us to be able to do. He said, you're able to do this too. You're able to do all of the things that he did, but greater. And so when he said, why me? He said, I put a greater on the inside of you. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in this world. And that's where I have to draw from. That's the things that I draw from when I get in my low moments, that I'm sitting there and I'm weeping because I'm still at why you chose me, God. Why would you choose this one? Why didn't you just let me sit on the side of the road? Why didn't you just let me sit there? Why did you have Yvette to do what she did? Why did you choose her to do this? Why did you want her to do this? Because it wasn't about us at that time. It was about what his future, what the plan he has for us for this moment. For this moment. For this moment. Do you know that we just our book just got finished. It was finished and it's being sent out now. So if you purchase the book, the Bent But Not Broken book, I did a mass mailing this morning, so a lot of the books are going out this morning. And so if you haven't purchased your book, you go to the website and purchase your book, because let me tell you, the enemy did not want this book to come to pass. He did not want this story to be told. He did everything he can possibly do to stop this story. And this is the part of the why me. Because I need you to know that I chose you to be able to do what you did and tell everybody what you did, because I'm going to use your story to set somebody free. I'm going to use your story to bring somebody hope. I'm going to use your story to bring somebody some freedom. I'm going to use your story to restore some people. You got to understand that, Gerald, because you chose Yvette, because you chose my perfect will, you chose to do it my way, you chose my path, and you stood on my path. You stayed on the straight and narrow. Now you're leaning and relying on me, and now look what I'm getting ready to do. I'm blowing on you. I'm blowing on you. And so, my God, the enemy he did not want this book. If I could tell you the warfare that we had in this book and what we had to deal with, you will know then. And so every one of you guys that was praying for us, praying for this book to be released, let me tell you something. If you bought the book and you get the book, we prayed over them, we declared over them. Let me tell you something. I pray that they bless you. And they bring a new does something that will do something that you hadn't even thought of. Getting God's plan. I'm telling you, check God's plan. Find out what God's plan is for you, because everybody has a plan. Everybody has a plan, but we have to choose to be in God's will. We have to choose to be on his path and stay on his path, because yes, the path is straight and narrow. Yes, the path is very tight, because Hey, listen, God's trying to cut off all of this worldly stuff. He's trying to cut out this stuff that has caused us to waver to the left or to waver to the right, because he said he wants all of us. That means from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. He wants all of you. He wants your heart. He wants your eyes, what you see. He wants your ears, what you hear. He wants your word. He wants your mouth, the things that bring life and death. He wants your heart. He wants your spirit. He wants your soul. He wants every aspect of you, every aspect of you, because he has a plan for you. And he wants you to line up with his plan. So it's a place of submitting. So when you say I'm submit, you submitting to his will and his way. You're saying that I lean, rely, and I trust in you. Every step that I take, I believe that you're going to guide me. Everything that you want me to say, I believe that you're going to put it in my heart or put it in my mouth. Everything that I'm supposed to hear, that you're going to give me the divine hearing to hear the divine word and the divine things that you need for me to hear. And everything that's not of you, I don't even hear. The whispers of the enemy, I don't hear. The whispers of the people that are speaking negative to me, I don't hear. Everything that is not for me, I don't hear. It can't come nigh to me. Father, I'm sanctifying myself. I'm setting myself apart for your plan and your will to be done in my life, Father. That there's no more that I'm operating out of my feelings and out of my emotions, because those places have caused me to err. Those places have caused me to be stuck. Those places have caused me to be in a place of hurt and of pain. And Father, I know that as I get into your path, I get into your will, I get into your plan, that the plans that you have for me are to prosper. Father God, you talking about to prosper, plans for me to prosper. That means my health is prospering, my healing is prospering, my mind is prospering, my heart is prospering. These things are no longer broken. These things are no longer damaged. These things are my hearing. I hear the right things, Father. No longer am I hearing in a bad perspective. I'm telling you, these are the things that God is placing on me, and I'm reminding myself that the things that I used to hear, I don't hear anymore. Those suicidal thoughts, those seducing words. Come on, let's go do pornography. You know you stressed out. I cancel it. I renounce that. Every time it pops up, I pull down every vain imagination that comes to my mind. I'm gonna tell you something. I have to renew my mind daily. I have to make sure that I think on the things that are pleasant. I have to understand that as a man thinketh, so is he. And it's not just thinking, but it's in his heart. So I have to remind myself of what I'm thinking about. What's trying to get into my heart. Because once it gets into my heart, it gets into my soul. And now I'm walking around saying, God, not only deliver me, but deliver my soul. Because I'm trying to say, why me, God? Why me? I understand you chose me. You chose me for this will. You chose me for this purpose. And thank you for choosing me. I accept it. I accept it. I accept it. I accept it. Now, will you accept your role that God has placed on you? Will you accept it? Whatever he's telling you to do, he's giving you some instructions. He's giving you some things that he's called for you to do that just don't make sense. It don't make sense to what you're doing. It doesn't make sense to how you feel. It don't make sense. But let me tell you, as you continue to walk, as you continue to continue to move forward and don't compromise, it'll start making sense to you. It makes sense to me now. It makes sense to me why he didn't leave me. It makes sense to me that he left the 99 and came and got me. It makes sense to me now. It makes sense to me now. And I pray that it makes sense to you why he's asking you to do this. Somebody might need to be saved. Because if my wife didn't do what she did, I don't even know what my salvation would be. I don't know. I could have easily made the decision to come back home and then came back home and it wasn't right. And the house wasn't conducive to deliverance. The house wasn't conducive to peace and harmony. I could have came back into that, and what you thought was going to happen, I would have left again. But she had to do some sacrificing. She had to do some, why you want me to do this? This is so stupid. This is about the dumbest thing ever. Why do I have to be praying for somebody that don't even want to be prayed for? Why do I have to be calling somebody that I don't even want to answer the phone? Matter of fact, he don't even answer a phone that I'm paying for. Why do you want me to give this man a card, one of my ATM card? And what? Do you know he take the money out and he does stupid stuff, but you want me to not you want him to have my card? I understand, man. now that I sit back and I listen to my wife and some of the stuff that she had to go through, and I'm sitting there like, I don't know if I'd have done that one, babe. But now we're at a place where she used to ask me, she says, Gerald, I don't know if you would have actually done the things that I had to do for you. But now I'm in a place where I understand God's plan and I understand sacrifices. I understand that those things that she had to do, God is now testing me to see if I will actually do them. And do I get it right sometimes? All the time? No, I don't. But I have to check myself and I have to do it right. So it's that day by day, situation by situation, I got to get better. I get to get better. So you're going to hear that a lot. I pray that that just rattles in your head. Day by day, situation by situation, we got to get better. So if God is calling you, if God has chosen you, if God has plucked you out and God is doing something in you, then understand that you have been chosen for a cause. You have been chosen. You have been selected. You have been handpicked by God to do something. So when God gives you some instructions and you hear God clearly and he's giving you some instructions, please follow those instructions, because in those instructions, you're going to find something. You're going to be in a place that you will receive the joy and the fullness of his promise. Because if he showed you something, I promise you that he'll give you the instructions to get to that what he showed you. Yes, it might be hard. Yes, it might be a bumpy road. Yes, you might have to jump over some hurdles. Yes, you might have to swing around a hill or two. Yes, you might get hit, you might get hit and fall down and you have to get back up and walk again, because God is all he's doing is testing your endurance, testing to see if you can handle the battle, that you can handle it, because God says, I give you the strength to do all things. He'll give you the strength. You find strength in him that you're able to conquer these things. The key is you can't do it in your own self. You can't do it in your own will. You can't, it won't happen. So I wanted to come on and encourage you that as you're sitting there saying, why me, God? Instead of saying, why me, God, say, God, what's your plan for me? What's the plan today? What's the plan today? What's the plan for me today? What is it that you have planned for me today? Because I understand that you have every day planned out. What is the plan that you have for me? Because he tells me the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. So God, I want to be in right standings with you. So I ask you, what is it, God, that you want me to do today? I want to be obedient to your will and your way. I want to be obedient to your instructions. I don't want to cry anymore. I don't want to pout anymore. I don't want to be mad anymore. I don't want to be frustrated anymore. I just want to do your will. I just want to be in your plan. I just want your plan to operate in my life every day, all day. My question now is, thank you, God, for choosing me. Thank you for choosing me. I don't have to say why me, because now I know. I know what God, I know why God chose me. So now it's, thank you, God, for choosing me. Thank you for choosing me for this task. Thank you for choosing me for this spouse. Thank you for choosing me for this situation. Thank you for choosing me for this job. Thank you. Let's spend time thanking God for what he's doing and for the plan that he has for you, because that plan is to prosper. That plan is to bring you hope and a future. Tap into that one. Tap into that one. Tap into that one. So the declaration today is, thank you, God, for choosing me. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you, God, for choosing me. Thank you, God, for choosing me. That's right. Thank you, God, for choosing me. Because now that you're saying, thank you, God, for choosing me, now you made a declaration that you're going to actually do it God's way. You're going to be committed to God's way. You're going to be committed to his plan. You're going to be committed to walking this thing out without compromising. When situations get hard, when you have to endure, because difficult circumstances will come, but in those difficult circumstances, without compromising, so that when you have carried out the will of God, so that means when you have actually done You're walking this thing out. You've asked him for this instructions, and now you're walking this thing out. He says that you may receive, you may receive and enjoy the fullness of his promise. Listen, he say enjoy, enjoy, enjoy the fullness of what he promised. That's only if you in his path. That's only if you in right standings with him. That's only if you doing what he's asked you to do. So when these times he's telling you to be quiet and you don't be quiet, that means you got to get it right. When he's telling you to go say I'm sorry, Gerald, and you don't, that means you stepping out. You done stepped out of the boundaries. You better get back into the boundaries, because if you want the promises, you want to enjoy, you want to enjoy the fullness of what he promised. I want all of what God promised me. I don't want a little bit. I'm trying to tell you, and I don't even know if because it took me so long to do it. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't even know, because I do understand the laws of reaping what you sow. Thank you. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you, God, for choosing me, because I'm that one. You're that one that God chose, he came back to get you. And I thank God for coming back to get me. Once again, I thank you for joining me on the turnaround. I'm Gerald Ben, one half of Gerald and Yvette Ministries, and I pray that the turnaround has helped you in some type of way. Like I said, our book is here. It's on Amazon. You can order it on Amazon, or you can go to our website and purchase it. Because let me tell you something. This book came with some warfare, and I'm telling you, what God was released out of this book is some oil. It is some real oil that's coming out of this book. So I'm not because it's just our book, but I know what we had to go through for this book to be released, for this book to be birthed out. And so I understand that the power that is in this book, the enemy did not want it to be released. And so now it's released. He couldn't even stop it. He can't stop it now. Now it's going everywhere. And as it goes everywhere, like God said, he says it's going into every man and child's world. That means it's going everywhere. So I'm looking for this book to go to every country, every state, every nation, every continent. I'm speaking it. I'm saying it's the bestseller. I'm declaring it. I'm sorry, but that's what he showed me. And so if God shows me something and he promises us something, then that's what I'm speaking. I'm not going to speak anything differently. I'm not going to be afraid to say something that God is saying, because this is part of his plan. This is part of his plan. And so I'm going to speak it. I'm going to say it and not be scared of it. So once again, thank you for joining me. And remember, there's a turnaround that is coming. Are you willing to be in God's plan for the turnaround? So God's plan is for it to be turned around. Ooh, I like that. It's for God's plan for this to be turned around. What is your this? What is your this that you want God to turn it around? And it's in God's plan for it to be turned around. All right. Thank you. You have a blessed day. And remember to think upon these things. Think upon this word, because you are chosen. Have a great day.